The views expressed during this program does not necessarily represent those of really any sane person with a brain. Listening to this program may actually kill brainwaves and make you dumber than you may already be. Listener discretion is advised. Really, because this show sucks to begin with.
Hello, champ. Good morning, or good afternoon, and good night.
The champ is here.
I ran into a buzzsaw named Joe Burrow. And though I started off strong, Mahomes and Burrow were going neck and neck. Mahomes decided to not play the second half, while Joe didn't stop.
No, I was getting a little concerned. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was not watching early on, and I get a text from Bill saying, not happy so far. Knowing you, wasn't sure if it was going to be Mr. Powers like sarcasm or it was real. But before we get into this, Fantasy Fat Guys, I'm Porterhouse.
I'm the champ, Bill Powers.
Absolutely, and great news, great stuff. That we got to the finals against each other, which we've never done before in this league.
No, it's the first time.
And you beat me. Have you won this league before?
No, not football. I've never won.
This is the first one. I've won it quite a few times, but I've been in second a few times as well. And, I was rooting for myself, but I'm happy that my compadre over here, if I was going to lose, beat me.
Well, Porterhouse, if you're used to second place, welcome home.
I am. I'm very satisfied.
You know, at the end of the day, one of the things I was most concerned about when going back to the draft, I mean, we were saying like how Jalen Hurts, why would you draft him? Well, of course, I drafted him because everybody
told you not to.
Done. I was kind of desperate, and he was doing really well for me from a fantasy perspective for a good portion of the season. And then once they traded Flacco to the Jets, you heard the buzzing about Minshew maybe get some playing time. So I panicked a little bit, and I was like, I got to get rid of this guy. I got to do something. And that's when I got Joe Burrow. And then Joe Burrow had a couple of like really bad games. And I was like, what did I do? But it paid off at the end.
Basically, he was throwing it up to Jamar Chase, who was catching everything thrown to him. It was a performance for the ages. Obviously, best rookie performance ever for a wide receiver. And Burrow played fantastic.
And, I got lucky. Some weeks.
Hey, listen, you had other guys had great weeks too. It wasn't just him. He was your leader, but you had other guys.
You had, there was such parity in our league. I mean, yeah, the first and second, the guys that got the buys, they were 10-4 in the regular season. And then a whole bunch of us were 8-6. And what was it? Gino was 7-7 getting in.
Yep.
But even the guy,
and he was in first place most of the year. He was he was 5-1 or 5-0 early on. Yeah. He kind of fell backwards. I played him in the wild card. You played your son. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we got to the we found our way beating the top two seeds. Well, I mean, listen, John's team was really good. You had a great week. Again, it was Burrow that led you in that one. And then Rick's team didn't have as many points, but he kept winning. I was able to kind of beat him, not big, but beat him by like 20 points or whatever.
Which I don't understand on a regular basis. Rick, again, his team was not sensational, and he got hurt by injuries and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't because he didn't draft well.
Right. So, but he always seemed to squeak by to be 10-4. It was kind of like, and he lost twice to me.
It's funny. There was a team with Winfield all in, who had the most points most of the year, but kept losing. He would put up 150, and that would be the week the guy put up 193.
Yeah.
And it'd be like he couldn't get a break. 170, 183. He went up against the buzzsaw every single week. His team was good. And he's kind of a pain in the ass because he picks up everybody on waivers quicker than anybody else. Yeah. He's good.
Yep. He's good, but not good enough.
Not good enough because the champ is the bragger across the way.
Right here. Yeah, it's a miracle. All I know is that we have about 74 days till our baseball draft, and I already can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm just hoping and praying that we're doing it in person this year because we really need to.
Oh yeah, we really need you to go to Atlantic City for a couple of days.
Yeah, we all could use the breather. We all need the days off. We all need to get together. It'll be much better.
But before we get there, of course, we got the playoffs and, of course, a bunch of other news. We never touched on it, and this goes to show you why we're such a mediocre show.
At best.
We never even mentioned John Madden last week.
Yeah, I don't know how we missed that, but the guy revolutionized, winning his coach of all time, percentage-wise. Not the most wins, but that's only because he said he only wanted to coach 10 years, and he did.
Mm-hmm.
And when he took over the Raiders, don't get me wrong, the Raiders were a good squad, but he made them a great squad.
Right.
And if it wasn't for the Steelers, he probably would have done even better.
I know more, obviously, because that was before my time when he was coaching the Raiders, from his days with Pat Summerall doing the games for CBS. And he was great. You loved watching him doing the games.
He got the best games, and he did the best job. He made it fun. He made football fun with the telestrator and the circles and the arrows and and loving the offensive lineman, because that's what he was. He was a Philadelphia Eagle offensive lineman when he came in.
So a sad passing of John Madden, but now,
absolutely a football icon, a legend.
Now let's talk about a football jackass, Mr. Antonio Brown.
Well, now most interesting thing ever. I mean, as a Jet fan, you don't get a lot of fun things to watch. What I got to watch last week was the Antonio Brown debacle, and a quarterback that has an ego so big that he decided to run into 3 linemen on a 4th and 2 rather than giving it to a wide receiver on the sweep, which was really the designed play.
Right, but
he wanted to be the hero himself.
But to be fair, he didn't get his head stuck up somebody else's ass, unlike Sanchez.
Oh, Mr. Sanchez was. I always feel bad for Brandon Moore, because he was a pretty good offensive lineman for a lot of years, and he just so happened to be blocked, and it's his butt that became the famous fumble, so to speak. Butt of jokes. But Brandon Moore was a better player than he's remembered for that one play. But I'll leave it there. But Antonio Brown quitting during the third quarter of the Jet-Buck game.
You know what? They were saying, of course, he was injured. He was questionable for the game. He suited up. He says he took, painkillers that, he really shouldn't take. He went out and he played. And then he said he couldn't play anymore because he was hurt. But he was so hurt, he was able to do jumping jacks in the end zone as he was running off the field.
Well, the thing is, there's definitely, emotional problems with Antonio Brown because, well, let's go through the history. He was drafted decently out of Central Michigan. It wasn't a first-round pick or anything, but he was a mid-round pick. And he became one of the best receivers in the NFL really quickly. He became that guy. I mean, you don't think of superstars out of Central Michigan, but he became that guy, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, he does this kind of antics, and he's out of Pittsburgh, right? He shows up in Buffalo, refuses to play.
Uh-huh.
So it doesn't play one down in Buffalo.
He shuffled off to Buffalo for no reason.
Then he goes to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Again, doesn't get out on the field.
Normally, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. He didn't stay.
Well, he didn't stay. Absolutely.
He
ends up in Tampa because he went to New England.
New England.
Because Brady fought to get him there. Played a little bit. Got tossed off there. And then he ends up in Tampa where Brady lobbied for him. And to be honest with you, he was definitely a factor down the stretch last year and would have been a factor this year in the playoffs.
And
the thing is that you can't do this with 5 franchises.
Right.
But now it's hard to buy the whole I was injured and they took advantage of me. Now, listen, it could very well be true. Listen, you never know if the Buccaneers were like, we don't think the injury is that severe. You can go out there and play. This is malarkey, whatever word we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
You like malarkey. But at the same time, when you've had this history of being that guy that's a prima donna, that's a super talented guy that nobody wants to play with. I mean, like, we're talking about a guy that was the best receiver in the NFL a couple of years ago. We're not talking about a guy that was really good. We're talking about a guy that was great.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, he's done this with 5 franchises, including the beloved Patriots,
Yeah.
So if you can't be accepted by the Patriots, the Steelers, who are a legendary program, and the Bucs with Tom Brady as the mentor, it's pretty much over. No one's taking a shot on you anymore, kid. Nobody is. Josh Gordon gets chances every other year.
Yeah,
because he's not a bad guy. He just has substance abuse issues. Not saying it's minor, but he doesn't quit on his team. This guy quits on his team.
Everybody's talking about, he needs help. He's got mental issues. And I'm not arguing. We all know how important mental health is and what a big issue it really is. But there comes a time where what he's doing, when does he take responsibility for what he's doing? And if he's continuing to, why is he not seeking help? Listen, nowadays everybody's got mental health issues. They're just varying degrees. I'm on medication for depression. I don't care. That's the way it is. When does he get some of the responsibility for not getting the help that he needs? Because he obviously needs it.
Well, the thing is, it can't happen until you understand it, that you have it. When you always sit there and point the blame and you have a posse walking around you, and I'm not using the word posse, in any racial term. It could be a supreme white artist to a black artist. Doesn't matter who it may be. But you have a bunch of people around you telling you that everything you do is roses and sunshine. You believe the hype. You think you're great. If nobody that's close to you is telling you, listen, pal, maybe it's you. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of issues out there, but this one, maybe it's you.
Yeah, come on.
Someone's got to be honest with this kid, someone that's close to him.
And everybody in the NFL is just as guilty because they keep on giving him these chances.
Absolutely.
Because it's not like you said, Josh Gordon. Yeah, it's a sad story. Substance abuse, very, very, it's a very tricky deal, and and it's an illness. But he's not an a-hole.
He doesn't alienate his teammates. They don't dislike him.
Right.
Terrell Owens had a bit of this issue, like Antonio Brown did, but on Sunday he came to play and he came to win.
Right.
You also, listen, you look at Terrell Owens. You want to talk about a guy that grew up with nothing. When you grow up in a house in I forget what town in Tennessee, and you have no window of plumbing, and you grew up that way. We don't even know what that's like.
No.
He grew up like beyond anything that we would even recognize. So, you understand that he has some problems and some issues. But this guy, Antonio Brown, just nobody's there working with this guy. Nobody's saying, "Hey, listen, kid, I love you. I want you to be better. I want to make sure you're healthy. I don't care about football. I care about you."
I feel Brady's done that. Brady's taken him in twice, gone out on a limb to get the guy in, and now he's suing Brady and the trainer because he's saying that he paid and he didn't get what he paid for. And now he's saying that he's suing. And meanwhile, there's tweets from the trainer saying, "Tell me how much I owe you and I'll pay you back." And he's still putting out the tweet saying, "I'm suing you."
It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. It's a sad story, just sad. Because you know what? You watch the NFL, especially now when we get into the playoffs. So the playoffs literally start Sunday night when the Chargers play the Raiders, and one team goes in and one team goes home. Really starts right there, right? So we have our first playoff game really this week. There are other games that have some playoff implications this week, but the real one is win and go home. Winner's in, loser, winner advances, loser goes home, right? So you have that on Sunday night, right?
Right.
And when you're watching the playoff games, you're watching one game at a time. So you're not sitting there watching your fantasy. You're not sitting there trying to get 30 scores. You're watching that game. And Antonio Brown was one of those guys you wanted to watch play football.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that you liked his talent, and you loved the idea of, they're going to put Evans on the left and they're going to put Brown on the right, and they're going to play the dual tight end in the middle with Gronkowski and Brait or O.J. Howard or whatever they wanted to do, or maybe play the third receiver. And Brady's throwing the ball around, and the O-line's great. And wow, can somebody stop them? You wanted to see if somebody could stop them. And now you've lost, as a fan, you lose somebody special to watch. As an organization, they probably gain by not having such a distraction on the team. It's just the way it works. But Antonio Brown, we bid you adieu. It's probably over for you in the NFL. If there's a team besides the Jets that will probably consider him at some point,
Lions.
I hope not.
The Lions.
I hope not for anybody, because no young team needs to have a guy out there that's really going to really be a distraction. Like Steve Howe was great. Yeah, how many times can you give him a chance?
7 chances.
That's it.
Listen,
for you younger people, Steve Howe played baseball. Anyway,
this is your 7th chance. Okay, you're not
getting first 6. We're gonna go clean slate here.
We're gonna make believe they never happened.
Lucky number 11, and there we go.
Yeah, he died young too, unfortunately.
Absolutely, unfortunate.
But
unfortunately, so that's my little rant on Antonio. You like to believe that he was hurt and all that stuff, but you can't, because he's giving you no track record to believe him.
You can't. Now, something else that's unbelievable. I don't know if you've read the story about this tool bag who is suing